The Blair Witch Project has always been a film I've really admired. If we take a step back and ignore the pop culture phenomenon it became, we simply see this, a shoestring budget documentary style film, with no stars, no musical score, no special effects, and no blood and gore. Multi-million-dollar films have a constant presence of special effects and other tools to ensure that we're completely liberated from our sense of imagination. In a sense, we're spoiled with what we're being shown on screen, and in my opinion, this can be a detriment to our enjoyment of a film. We just become desensitized to the point of being disinterested. After a while, being spoon-fed murder after murder and endless bloodshed, watching Jason kill camp counselors wasn't scary anymore. 2 decades of slasher films wore us down, and the Blair Witch Project captured lightning in a bottle by nailing bare-bones psychological horror. 3 filmmakers lost in the woods, which happened to be a historical site of child abduction and ritual killings. Real horror is the evocation of our own fears, and this movie has our imagination working overtime to do so. We don't see the abduction of Josh, we don't see the morbid ends to these other 2 characters, and we don't see the witch. What happens when we do want to see these things? We get a horrible ass piece of fucking shit. The crude handheld camera work and even lack of rudimentary set designs places fear in our own hands rather than waiting for it to be evoked by visual or oral cues. In addition to certain filmmaking techniques, the stripping away of another modern convention adds to our sense of unease. Technology, specifically the failing of it. The possession of the map and the compass signify the character's potential to navigate their surroundings, and in one of the film's most intense scenes, the group's cohesiveness takes a major blow when it's revealed that Mike kicked the map into a creek when he found it useless. After this, the compass fails them when they use it to attempt to walk south all day, only by evening to find that they walked in a complete circle. As the group fails to utilize their navigational equipment, they fail to utilize their audio-visual equipment by being unable to capture the menacing presence surrounding them. The digital audio tape only records distorted noises when obvious sounds of yelling, footsteps, and laughing children are heard. Heather's reliance on technology as a means of coping with the threat of death is a frequent point of contention among the group. She claims that this is all I have when fighting with Mike and Josh. Our reliance on technology to help us provide social order is evident as we descend into chaos when technology fails. For as long as humanity has considered its environment, the forest has often appeared as some kind of hostile force that needs to be subdued. When walking through the woods, you can't see anything that may be lurking behind the trees. This adds to the anxiety as we watch the characters hike through unknown territory. A huge aspect of psychological horror is the fear of mental degradation, and this is exactly what we witness. Imagine being lost in the woods with no food for 6 days, while a witch is stalking you, and while you can't get any sleep because each night she's disturbing you with her nasty tricks. I feel like it'd be hard to not be in complete and utter despair in that situation. It's important to note that tying in a classic horror narrative with arguably the most ingenious marketing campaign ever definitely had and still currently has an effect on the mindset of the audience. It can be argued that psychological terror was unleashed upon the audience before they even saw the movie. Even if the story of the Blair Witch is terrifying, if it's fictional, imagine what all those people felt when they actually thought it was true. Prior to release, the film's official website featured fake police reports and interviews to sell the idea of it being found footage. At festivals such as Sundance, the filmmakers distributed flyers asking viewers for information about the 3 missing students. For the entire year the movie was on IMDb, the actors were listed as missing, presumed dead. There was even a timeline that chronicled the mythology behind the Blair Witch, so viewers could study up on their history. Various other documentaries and even mock local news clips were made to explain the lore. The whole thing from a storytelling perspective is incredibly well done, and it's a testament to the craftsmanship of the filmmakers. I can't think of another horror film that perfects realism so well. The actors used their real names and almost all of the dialogue was completely improvised. The actors themselves were sleep and food deprived. They just method acted the shit out of their performances. Another thing I like about the Blair Witch Project storytelling-wise is that it actually took risks, and these risks make the entire feature more compelling. Most Hollywood endings would showcase an unrealistic illusion in a perfunctory attempt to make the audience feel better about the resolution. The bleak ending here offers no such consolation, and its unwillingness to provide any sort of comfort makes the final images linger in our minds. The film was so groundbreaking it essentially launched the entire new genre of found footage horror. Unfortunately, For the following films in this genre, the Blair Witch Project is the only one I've ever seen in my life that actually looks like found footage. Films like Wreck, Quarantine, Cloverfield, or the VHS series don't have the same degree of believability. The entire Blair Witch cultural shockwave was caused by one of the creepiest atmospheres ever created. One made by the dreadful tone of the film, as well as the bone-chilling buzz that surrounded it. Anyone who's been out camping in the woods can find true horror in this. Not with the fear of a witch, but with the fear of the unknown. You never know what could be lurking in the darkness.